When I bought my 8-year-old nephew a custom silver watch for his birthday, my husband threw it across the room. He screamed that I was being completely financially reckless, forcing me to return it. But the very next evening, I found an identical luxury receipt in his briefcase, except the gift wasn't for my nephew, and it wasn't bought by him alone. My husband and my own sister were secretly choosing each other over me, using my family's inherited savings to fund a completely parallel life together. They thought they had perfectly manipulated the quiet, trusting wife into paying for their betrayal. But before you find out how a single hidden camera inside that birthday gift completely shattered their deceptive little world, I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. They thought they were building a future on my dime. They had no idea they were walking into a legal execution. My name is Lysandra, and for 7 years, I lived under the illusion that my marriage to Cyprian was built on a foundation of mutual respect. Looking back, the cracks were always there, masked by his smooth vocabulary and the commanding presence he maintained as a financial consultant. I had inherited a substantial trust from my late grandfather, an asset Cyprian insisted on managing to protect my future. Because I trusted him implicitly, I let him control the purse strings, never questioning why our lifestyle remained so modest while he constantly preached about inflation and market volatility. The breaking point arrived the afternoon before my nephew's 8th birthday. I wanted to buy something truly special for the boy, so I saved from my personal monthly allowance and purchased a beautiful, custom-engraved silver pocket watch. When Cyprian walked into the kitchen and saw it resting on the counter, his face distorted into pure, unbridled fury. He snatched the velvet box and threw it violently across the room, the metal casing denting against the hardwood floor. "Are you completely financially reckless?" he screamed, his voice vibrating through the walls. "We are trying to secure investments, and you are throwing away hundreds of dollars on a child who won't even appreciate it. You will return this tomorrow, Lysandra. No exceptions." I stood there frozen, staring at the ruined gift while a cold dread settled deep in my chest. It wasn't just about the money, it was the sheer intensity of his control. Worse, I noticed how frequently my sister Carenza had been whispering with him on the phone lately, always hanging up the moment I walked into the room. A dark pattern was beginning to emerge, and my compliance was finally running out. Driven by a gut feeling I could no longer ignore, I waited until Cyprian left for an emergency Sunday business meeting before entering his private home office. The room always felt cold, smelling of stale coffee and expensive leather, a space where I was rarely welcome. I approached his mahogany desk, my hands shaking slightly as I reached for his leather briefcase. It was locked, but after years of marriage, I easily guessed the combination. Our wedding anniversary, a date he used purely out of convenience rather than sentiment. The latches clicked open with a sound that felt incredibly loud in the empty house. I began sorting through standard corporate folders, expecting tax documents or investment portfolios. Instead, my fingers brushed against a false bottom lining. Peeling it back, I uncovered a manila folder filled with items that made my breath catch in my throat. The first was a high-end jewelry receipt for a diamond tennis bracelet valued at $15,000, a piece I had never seen. Beneath that lay a signed lease agreement for a luxury downtown penthouse apartment. The tenant listed was my sister Carenza, but the primary guarantor paying the monthly rent was Cyprian. The final blow was a series of recent bank statements from my personal inheritance trust. Over the past 6 months, Cyprian had systematically executed unauthorized withdrawals totaling nearly $400,000. The synthetic sympathy they had both showered me with during my recent months of grief wasn't comfort at all. It was a calculated distraction designed to blind me while they methodically stripped away my financial security. They were choosing each other, building a lavish parallel life using my family's legacy, leaving me with the scraps. The initial shock inside my husband's cold office threatened to consume me, but as I looked at the stolen thousands documented on the pages in my hands, a cold, sharp clarity took over. If I confronted Cyprian and Carenza right now, they would simply deny everything, liquidate what remained of my inheritance, and disappear before my legal counsel could freeze the accounts. I needed undeniable, bulletproof evidence that would dismantle their lies completely in a court of law. They thought they were dealing with a naive, submissive woman who could be easily managed with a few shouted words and a show of authority. They had no idea that I was about to play a much longer, far more sophisticated game. Instead of demanding answers, I carefully replaced the documents exactly as I had found them, ensuring the briefcase latches aligned perfectly. The next morning, I drove directly back to the jeweler and repurchased a seemingly identical silver watch for my nephew's birthday. However, before wrapping it, I took it to a specialized private security firm downtown. There, a technician expertly embedded a high-tech, motion-activated streaming device hidden deep within the custom casing. The microphone and lens were entirely invisible to the naked eye, designed to transmit crystal-clear audio and video to an encrypted app on my smartphone. I knew my husband and sister's psychological patterns perfectly. During large family gatherings, they consistently used the chaos of the children playing or the serving of dinner as a convenient cover to slip away separately and meet in private rooms to discuss their plans. By turning my nephew's birthday present into a literal Trojan horse, I was placing a recording device directly into the heart of their next family interaction. They believed they were masterfully manipulating me, but I had just designed the perfect digital trap. I wrapped the gift in beautiful paper, sat back, and prepared to watch them walk right into it. The family gathered for my nephew's birthday celebration at a high-end country club venue, an event paid for entirely out of our joint account. I sat quietly at the edge of the dining room, watching Cyprian and Carenza with detached clarity. They were masterful actors, maintaining a polite distance in front of our extended relatives, yet I didn't miss the subtle, lingering glances or the brief touch of their hands as they passed a tray of appetizers. When the children finally tore into their gifts, my nephew unwrapped the custom silver watch, his eyes lighting up with genuine excitement. Cyprian shot me a sharp, warning glare from across the room, assuming I had ignored his financial lecture, completely unaware of what was actually ticking inside that silver casing. As the party moved toward the outdoor patio for the main dinner, the chaos provided the exact window I anticipated. I watched Carenza casually slip toward the grand staircase, and less than 2 minutes later, Cyprian checked his watch and walked in the same direction. I remained in my seat, pulled out my smartphone, and opened the secure, encrypted application. The live stream connected instantly, providing a crystal-clear, high-definition view of the country club's private upstairs library where my nephew had left his new watch on a side table. Within seconds, Cyprian and Carenza walked into the frame, their false family personas completely dropping. "Did you secure the final transfer from Lysandra's trust?" Carenza whispered, her voice laced with greed as Cyprian pulled her into a tight embrace. "Almost," Cyprian replied smoothly, his tone dripping with arrogance. "The bank requires her final signature for the offshore real estate venture next week. Once she signs that document, the remaining $2 million will hit our international accounts, and we can leave this marriage behind for good. She doesn't suspect a thing." I saved the digital recording directly to my cloud drive, smiling as the trap snapped shut. Instead of causing a public scene at a child's birthday party, I chose to wait until the following Monday morning to execute my final move. I coordinated an emergency meeting at the private wealth management firm that handled my grandfather's legacy trust. I explicitly invited both Cyprian and Carenza, fabricating a story that the bank required our urgent presence to finalize the high-value joint real estate venture they had been so eagerly anticipating. When they arrived at the top-floor office, they practically radiated smug satisfaction, fully believing they were moments away from securing the remaining $2 million of my family's fortune. They walked into the grand mahogany boardroom wearing their finest designer attire, greeting me with that same synthetic sympathy I had grown to despise. As soon as they took their seats at the polished conference table, I calmly walked over to the heavy glass doors, turned the deadbolt lock, and pocketed the key. The atmosphere in the room instantly shifted from celebratory to deeply tense. Cyprian frowned, his commanding presence faltering slightly. "Lysandra, what is the meaning of this? Where are the bank executives and the transfer paperwork?" I didn't utter a single word in response. Instead, I opened my laptop, connected it to the room's high-definition media system, and hit the play button. The massive projector screen at the front of the boardroom illuminated instantly, playing the crystal-clear video and audio recorded from my nephew's silver watch just 48 hours prior. Their own voices echoed through the speakers, explicitly detailing their elaborate plot to drain my inheritance and flee the country together. The absolute silence that followed was deafening as the color completely drained from both of their faces. The absolute panic that filled the boardroom was instantaneous. Cyprian stood up so fast his heavy leather chair slammed against the wall, his polished corporate facade fracturing into jagged, desperate pieces. Carenza buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking as she realized the golden future she had imagined was evaporating in seconds. Before either of them could utter a single fabricated excuse, the side door opened and my private legal counsel stepped inside, placing 2 thick folders on the mahogany table. "This is a comprehensive asset-freezing injunction and immediate divorce papers," my attorney announced, his voice echoing with absolute authority. Because the $400,000 Cyprian had already withdrawn was stolen directly from a legally protected, non-marital family trust, their actions crossed the line from marital dispute to severe financial crime. I looked at my husband and sister, feeling absolutely no pity. "You have exactly 10 minutes to sign over the downtown penthouse lease, forfeit every single piece of marital property, and return every cent to my trust," I said coldly. "If you refuse, my attorney will hand this digital file directly to the federal prosecutors waiting downstairs. You will be arrested for grand larceny, wire fraud, and conspiracy before you leave this building." They signed. They didn't have a choice. 3 months later, I sat on the porch of a beautiful new coastal home, watching the waves crash against the shore under a brilliant, clear sky. The fresh sea air felt incredibly liberating after years of suffocating under my husband's calculated control. My grandfather's inheritance was fully recovered and securely locked away in a private trust that only I could ever access. Cyprian was entirely financially ruined, forced to sell his luxury vehicle just to pay his mounting legal fees, while Carenza was completely ostracized by the rest of our relatives, living in deep obscurity. They thought they could use my quiet nature against me, but their greed became their own undoing. Now, I'm curious about you who listened to my story. What would you have done if your own spouse and sibling chose to betray you like this?